Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're getting into a really foundational way of managing projects.
Right, the predictive model. You often hear it called waterfall.
Exactly. And we've been looking at materials that lay out its, well, very distinct phases, stuff based around the Project Management Institute's framework.
Yeah, it's quite structured.
So our mission really is to unpack that sequence, what actually happens in each step of this predictive life cycle, and maybe why it's set up that way.
Sort of understanding the logic behind that linear flow.
Okay, so the sources point to PMI outlining 5 main phases here.
5 core phases, yeah. And the big idea is that you try to finish one before you really move hard into the next.
Yeah.
Very sequential.
No jumping ahead, ideally.
Not in the pure form, no. It's designed to be linear.
All right. So, phase 1, initiation, the starting blocks.
This is all about laying the foundation. I mean, the goal is defining what the project is.
Like its purpose,
Yeah.
objectives.
Exactly. Purpose, objectives, the initial scope. What are we actually building or changing?
Yeah.
Identifying who your key stakeholders are too.
And you do a feasibility study here. See if it even makes sense.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Is it possible? Is it worthwhile? And critically, creating the project charter.
Ah, the charter. That sounds official.
It is. It's the document that formally says, yes, this project exists, and it gives the project manager the authority to actually use company resources. You sort of need that green light.
Right, makes sense. So charter in hand, you've got the go-ahead. Then you hit phase 2, planning.
And the sources we saw really emphasize this one, calling it arguably the most critical phase.
Okay, why so critical? Just because it's planning.
Well, yeah, but specifically because in this waterfall approach, you're trying to build the entire detailed roadmap right at the start before you do the main work.
Wow, okay. So what goes into that?
Developing the full project plan scope, schedule, budget, resources, creating that work breakdown structure, the WBS.
That's breaking down the big tasks into smaller bits, right?
Exactly. Making it manageable. You're also identifying risks up front, planning how you'll handle changes, which can be tricky later in this model, setting up how you'll communicate, defining quality standards. It's a huge upfront effort.
Trying to predict everything, like perfecting the map before you even start the car.
That's a good way to put it, which then leads you logically into phase 3, execution.
Right. Taking that big plan and actually doing it.
This is where the rubber meets the road. The team carries out the tasks from the WBS, you manage resources, keep stakeholders informed like you planned, maybe buy goods or services, manage the team dynamics. Basically, build the thing.
Okay, so the work is happening, but you mentioned things run side by side sometimes.
Phase 4, monitoring and controlling. This runs concurrently with execution. It's not sequential in that sense.
Okay, so while you're building.
You're constantly checking. The whole point is oversight, making sure the project stays on the rails, follows that detailed plan.
Like checking the GPS and speed while driving.
Exactly like that. You're tracking progress schedule, budget, scope, quality. You're looking for variances.
Variances.
Oh, yeah.
Like deviations from the plan.
Precisely. Where you are versus where you plan to be. You manage changes that come up, monitor those risks you identified earlier, report on how things are going, and crucially, take corrective actions if you start drifting.
Got it. The course correction phase happening in real time.
Then finally get to the end. Phase 5. Closure.
The finish line. But it's not just stopping work, is it?
No. It's about formally wrapping everything up. Delivering the final product or service and getting the customer or stakeholder to sign off, say, yes, this is accepted.
Okay, what else?
Completing any contracts, releasing your team and resources, and really importantly, archiving project documents and capturing lessons learned.
Ah, the lessons learned, so you don't make the same mistakes next time.
Hopefully. Conducting a post-project review is key for that, seeing what worked, what didn't.
So initiation, planning, execution, monitoring, and controlling alongside that, and closure. A very structured path.
Very. And as the materials suggest, this kind of strict sequential approach works best when you know exactly what you need up front.
Right, when requirements are clear and stable, if you don't expect much change.
Yeah, it provides a lot of control in those situations.
So thinking about that structure, this very step-by-step linear process, what kinds of projects do you think really fit this mold well? And maybe conversely, which ones might struggle with this predictive approach? Something for you, our listeners, to consider.